The demon lord Varvatos has reached the pinnacle of his life, so strong that nobody could defeat him. He longs for such recognition so that he could be recognized as a human again, but all those who could challenge him are gone. Hence, the only way is to reincarnate. Now he has been reincarnated as Ard Meteor, the only child of a very normal family. It is easy for Ard to master magic at his young age. By 10, he decides to finally make his first friend. But he's too creepy or scary for anyone to approach, especially with girls. Then, he talks about his problems with the mayor, Alhide, who is good friends with his parents. Ard thinks he has got what it takes to make friends. He didn't let him finish his sentence about trying to talk to his reclusive daughter. Ard continues to try to make friends, but is unsuccessful. Ard now thinks to destroy the world, but someone shouts, so he goes after it. He then sees Irina trying to fight a monster in the forest, and she manages to defeat it by herself. He praises her and even wants to be her friend, but apparently she doesn't appreciate it. She runs back to her father, who is the mayor, and just as Ard returns to complain to Alhide that his methods didn't work, Ard realizes this is a small world and, from this day forward, continues to bug her. No strategy works, and as he racks his brains, the town is suddenly attacked by goblins. Alhide worries that her daughter is still in the forest, and Ard realizes it is his fault since his constant harassment has her running in that direction. Irina is being surrounded by goblins. She has given up on life and wants to die. But before anything can happen, she screams for help, and here comes Ard to the rescue. He easily defeats the goblins, but Irina refuses his assistance and wishes to die. After he hears about her loneliness and awkwardness, Ard can relate. He promises never to betray or hurt her, despite her spelling out all her negative traits to turn him off. With that, they become best friends. Ard swearing it by the name of Varvatos, the demon lord, with legendary god status. A few years later, now grown up into teens, Irina suggests they enroll in a magic academy. Enrolling in Laval National Magic Academy, Count Gold, the headmaster, is pleased to have the children of two heroes enrolled here. They both passed their entrance exams. Ard scored 0, but yet he passed. Gold explains that his answers are all wrong from a textbook point of view. In fact, they are divine answers. He has everyone be thankful that they will be studying with the child of the great mage, Jack, and his wife Carla, who defeated the resurrected evil god and protected their royal capital, Daikias. They then enter the classroom, where everyone gathers around Ard and Irina. Oraldo Spencer is suddenly bullying Ginny Finn de Salvin because she is his servant. Ard wants him to apologize, so Oraldo challenges him to a duel. Ard is shocked to learn their teacher is Olivia Velvine. She was one of Varvatos' generals. She'll have his head if she learns his identity. She allows the duel. Oraldo spams his greatest magic, but Ard finds them all so weak that he's not even acting or playing dumb. In the end, Ard teaches him what real magic is and makes him so scared that he apologizes. While this settles the bully case, Olivia is interested in learning more about him. In fact, she is suspicious because he can use lost skills and does not have common sense about the current times. In the next class, Olivia's field training has everyone in groups of 3. Everyone wants to be in Ard's group. But since nobody wants Ginny, Irina invited Ginny. Everyone is in for some tough training as Olivia sends them down the dungeons to fight some tough monster wolves. Easy for Ard, since he uses the magic he created. He even teaches the girls how to use it. Training is progressing fine, and it's time for their graduation as they face off with a Minotaur-level boss. Ginny helped her overcome her fears and move forward, so she splendidly destroyed the monster and passed with flying colors. Back on the surface, Oraldo mocks Ginny for having it easy, thinking she relied on Ard. But she beats him up and warns him not to badmouth her friends. Irina also did the same since he badmouthed her friend. A beautiful girly friendship monologue by Ard is ruined when Olivia really wants to have a long talk with him. Gold asks Ard to participate in the student battle event that the Queen will be attending, but Ard flatly refuses. Trying to coax Ard into reconsidering, Gold mentions that the event is an opportunity for the school to get a bigger budget. Ard then voices his reason as to why he refuses, as it goes against his aesthetics. Olivia then mentions that she once had a younger brother of the sort who said the same thing, and he reincarnated without her consent. So Ard claims he'll think the offer. Just then, Ginny approaches Ard and asks to go on a date with her. Considering the offer, Ard accepts it and asks that she drop the Mr. when she addresses her, but she refuses, so Ard proposes she call him Artie instead, and she agrees. Just then Irina barges into the scene and wants to be a part of the date, which Ginny happily accepts, noting that she doesn't want to monopolize Ard. Afterward, the group goes on their date together in the town and starts things off by watching a play. The play was a recount of the former demon lord Varvatos, and during it, both Ginny and Lydia embrace Ard, while Ard is left perplexed by the interpretation of his former life. After the play, Ginny leads the group to a place to eat, and en route to their destination, Ard overhears a group of cloaked individuals talking about the queen. It's then decided that they'd all tail the group of people, and they follow them into the sewers, where they find the group standing in front of a giant circle. They're accosted from behind by more of the group, which is revealed to have been a trap to capture them. Ard makes the deduction that it's the cloaked group's goal to capture them all, but the leader activates the magical circle, setting Ard ablaze, prompting him to correct Ard's analysis. However, Ard is unscathed by the fire, and destroys the circle with his own spell, then proceeds to take out the remaining men with the exception of the leader. Left with no other alternatives, the leader transforms into his true demon form and casts lightning bursts to create a hole in the ceiling so he can escape. Ard pursues him, and on the surface, the demon takes a little girl hostage, which causes panic among the people in the surrounding area. However, Ard assures the people with his name and the name of his father, Jack Meteor, that all will be fine and that the hostage the demon had was an illusion. The demon is then finished off with the spell Flash of Babel, and in the aftermath, Ard is raised in the air for his accomplishment. The following day, Ard, Irina, and Ginny meet with Queen Rosa, and Irina is shown to be acquainted with her. Rosa then offers to marry Ard, but this proposal is shot down, and henceforth Ard is promoted to the Pentecan class. However, Ard instead asks that the budget be increased for his academy. But the queen is intrigued by Ard's humility, and grants both title and budget to Ard and Irina while appointing them both to the queen's shadow. Ginny is also granted the triangle class. Meanwhile, more of the cloaked figures discuss the previous failure they launched against Ard but are confident they'll accomplish their true goal. Jessica is disappointed that Ard won't participate in the tournament, as Gold thinks of making Ard a teacher here. Ard is widely opposed, and Gold thought if Ard participated in the tournament, this would help increase his name and shut down his critics. Jessica has a plan. Ard is annoyed that every day some girl comes to confess to him. Nobody dares to make a move with Irina nearby. This makes Irina jealous and mad too. That night, Ginny sneaks in and tries to make a move with Ard. Irina thinks of apologizing to Ard and sees this. So as both girls descend into petty arguments of dares and challenges, Ard puts a stop to this. After making them apologize to each other, Jessica heard it all and suggested the girls participate in an event in which, if they did well, Ard would be made a teacher. Now, they don't want to flaunt their powers for entertainment, but after Jessica notes that Ard will wear a new uniform, the girls are all for it. We breeze through the matches as the finals pit Irina against Ginny. Before it can begin, demons among the crowd start to wreak havoc. As they all split up to fight the demons, Allhide jumps in to protect his daughter Irina. But after finishing, Jessica strikes him. It is revealed she is Elzar and some kind of dragon king. Her goal is to kidnap Irina alive. Ginny tries to protect her but gets taken out. Irina promises to go with her, and in exchange, her friends are spared. Ginny watches helplessly as Elzar takes Irina away. Allhide is healed in the school infirmary by Ard. When Allhide awakens, he reveals that Irina was taken by Elzar the frenzied dragon. Ard reassures them all that he'll rescue Irina from Elzar. In response to this, Allhide allows Ard full access to the royal treasury anytime he wants. Also under Jack's recommendation, he suggests that Allhide reveal the truth to Ard about their background, which Irina had withheld for so long. However, he's still hesitant to do so due to the circumstances behind them. Irina has a dream where she's a child again and reveals to Ard who she really is, and he disappears, leaving her all alone. Awakening from this dream, Irina learns that her hands are bound by a red, transparent magic orb and are enclosed in a magical tube. Elzar then appears and reveals that Irina needs to act as a sacrifice for the Orphan of Chaos so she can summon a bunch of otherworldly evil gods to the realm. All because she wants to ruin and destroy the world as she sees fit. Although Irina claims that Ard will rescue her, Elzar claims that if he were to learn her secret, he'd abandon her. The comment corroborates the dream that Elzar had, and she's then prepared to be sacrificed to the Orphan of Chaos. Prepared to rescue Irina, Ard is approached by Ginny, who wants to come along and help. However, Ard asks Ginny to prepare dinner for when he returns with Irina. He then sets off for Irina's location, who was about to be eaten by the Orphan of Chaos but was slain by Ard before it could do so. Hovering in the sky, Ard lands on the ground and vows to eliminate all of the creatures there. Using a 9 cast, Ard eliminates all of the monsters and frees Irina from her captor as Elzar hovers in the sky, witnessing everything from above. Amused by the turn of events, Elzar reveals that Irina's last name, Allhide, is fake and that her real one is Lava, and she carries the blood of the evil gods. Back at Allhide Manor, Allhide talks with Jack about how his family are the true rulers of the country and how the ones instated are proxies. Back to Elzar to laugh about the revelation she just told Ard. He doesn't care one bit about it. In light of this, Elzar casts a lightning spell against Ard, who nullifies it with his spear, and despite seemingly defeating her, Ard launches his spear into her, causing Elzard to explode. As it turns out, Elzard was still alive and had fully transformed into her full dragon form. She then breathes a purple laser spell against Ard, who defends against it with his magical barrier. After asking Irina to look away, Ard casts a spell that summons a golden lady, who recasts a gold-colored magical barrier. The lady, as it turns out, was Lydia Beginskate, and under Weiss' command, she transforms into a broadsword that is used to help him during the first phase of the battle. Within the second phase of the battle, Ard has Lydia equip new armor for him and change his hair color to a silver-white color. Casting the spell Ultimum Zero, Ard defeats Elzard, and after the battle, Irina praises Ard and resolves herself to become stronger. Sylphie Marhaven has trained for 3 years in the dungeons to impress her sister Lydia. But when she returns to town, she is shocked to see how much it has changed. To her further shock, this masked guy actually reveals that 3,000 years have passed and the demon lord is dead. Furthermore, he notes that if she wants to learn about Lydia's past and current condition, asking the reincarnation would be best and reveals it Ard. Gold talks to Ard about their school's upcoming 100th anniversary and how many visitors from far and wide will come. He won't force Ard to partake in that tournament, but he hopes his class can put on a play. But here is another problem. Although it is not unusual that every year there is a threat to cancel the festival, this year's is different. The letter is written on human skin and signed by Lars Al Ghul. Gold hopes Ard can also help keep the festival safe. Suddenly, Sylphie barges in to look for Ard, only stopped dead in her tracks by Olivia. However, she can smell Ard out and tries to force him to spill the beans. He plays dumb, but she doesn't believe it. Hence, the only way is a duel, and Olivia allows it. Ard can tell that Olivia is trying to use this chance to ascertain that he is Varvatos. His only option is to play along and lose. Since Sylphie has been training, her moves are now stronger and faster. Ard tries not to get riled up by her bait, but eventually he gets serious and defeats her. Sylphie won't accept her defeat and summons a sword that poisons the air around her. She was reprimanded by Olivia, but that still didn't stop her. Not until Irina puts her foot down to tell her off to apologize if she has done wrong. Since Irina has a splitting image like Lydia, Sylphie gets scared, cries, and apologizes. Sylphie is now a fan of Irina. Because Ard chairs his class to delegate roles for the play, Sylphie insists Irina play the role of Lydia. Then she herself volunteers to play the evil gods that nobody wants to play so as to get her rematch with Ard. Then, after discussing how they have to make money from this, Ginny comes up with this maid cafe idea. The girls are in disagreement on this. Ginny then points out doing so they can flirt and seduce with Ard with all they want. Just like that, they all agree. Ard and Irina are patrolling the school grounds in case of any attacks. Then Sylphie accuses some old man of being a demon. Luckily, Olivia vouches for the man's identity, so nothing untoward happens. Olivia then tells Ard that she has taken the liberty of putting Ard's name in the tournament. She threatens that if he doesn't show up, she'll take things into her own hands on a certain matter. After that, Ard visits his classmate cafe, and Sylphie is beating up a customer who swiped her butt. After Ard cleans up this mess, Ginny and the other girls want to serve him. Jealous Irina won't allow that, so she too gets into the maid getup. Then came the announcement that the prize for the tournament is a replica of the Holy Sword, Vald Galgulus. Sylphie wants in. Ginny wants in. Irina wants in too. The preliminary rounds begin as Ginny is having trouble with hers, but with a little encouragement from Ard, she wins. So easy. When Irina gets called back to the maid cafe for help, Ginny takes this chance to take Ard to the beauty contest that she has entered. While the participants strut their stuff on stage, Ard spots Elraldo in the crowd, who is now fat and depressed. Elraldo's lament as he notes Ginny has changed because he was brought up as a noble and thought to treat everyone else as ants. That pressure got to him, and he bullied Ginny. But thanks to Ard beating him up, he somewhat set part of Ginny's heart free and changed. As for himself, he will probably live with this guilt for the rest of his life, until he has the courage to face Ginny and apologize to her, which he is still afraid to do. Ard knows what he means because he too has something he needs to do for Sylphie. In the end, Ginny wins the contest. With Ard's words of encouragement, Ginny now has more confidence in herself. This win also helped advertise their maid cafe, which is now teeming with customers. Now we return to the tournament. Ard fights Olivia and he can't put up an act to lose or she'll get suspicious. Eventually, he uses a forbidden magic to block, and this sends Olivia flying. He gets disqualified, and Olivia is gone. So the finals pit Irina against Ginny. The girls make Ard embarrassed as they argue about him and his harem. In the end, Irina wins. This gives her bragging rights to be with Ard, but Ginny won't accept it. On the day of the play, Irina is nervous about the performance, and Ard tries to console her, but his efforts seem futile to him. Later the play is performed, in which Ard's notes depict the Avia de Savir's battle. A flashback of the battle shows Varvatos observing over the horizon the enemy base. Later that night, Sylvie approaches Varvatos and requests that he allow her to join the fight with them the following day. He accepts Sylvie's request and notes that he'll take full responsibility. The following day, Avia wielded Demise Argus' plan to decimate Varvatos and his army, but traps set by Sylvie took out him and his men. Although this allowed Lydia to lay the deciding blow against Avia, it soon learned that Sylvie planted traps all around the area and has no clue exactly where they all may be. This prompts Varvatos to punch Sylvie for what she did. On their way back from the battlefield, Sylvie cries about being punished and that Varvatos broke his promise to take responsibility for her. Lydia, however, consoles her and gives her praise, which lifts her spirit immensely. Back in the present, the play put on is a success. As the actresses and actors wave to the audience, Sylvie spots someone who looks like Lydia but turns out to be someone else. The mysterious masked man then approaches her. Afterward, Ard and Ginny speculate about Sylvie, as they claim she's been acting weird of late, but Ginny concludes that she's fallen for Ard. The person in question then suddenly approaches Ard and claims that she'll win the sword tournament, and asks that he follow her to the Tree of the Sword King. During the sword tournament, Sylvie quickly wins her match against Irina. That night, Ard meets with Sylvie at the predetermined location. Unbeknownst to the two, Ginny and Irina were secretly watching from afar. Instead of a confession of love, Sylvie, with glowing red eyes, vows to kill Ard and reveals that the replica of the sword Vald Galgulus was, in fact, the genuine one. She then summons the Demise Argus, now duo wielding the two swords, says a chant that powers herself up and changes into a different outfit. Sylvie then attacks Ard, who flees the scene, and the masked man watches as everything unfolds. It's revealed that the masked man told the truth to Sylvie about Ard's true identity, and manipulated her to try and kill him. Both Irina and Ginny try to stop Sylvie, but their efforts are futile. Ard reappears in a form similar to the one in his previous life and, despite his efforts, cannot stop Sylvie. It's the voice of Lydia that finally calms Sylvie down enough to break the manipulation spell cast on her. At that moment, the masked man appeared, and now the duo wielding the swords tried to kill Ard himself but lost control of his right arm and the blades. In the end, the masked man is seemingly destroyed, and the spirit of Lydia is shown to inhabit the Demise Argus, who then briefly talks with Sylvie. During a field trip, suddenly time stops as Ard and his girls are whisked away to another dimension. They meet a little kid who proclaims he is God. He mentions the infinite parallel worlds and their past and future repeating indefinitely. Some being is trying to transcend those laws and alter the world. Meeting that being will surely vanquish that world. He wants Ard to eliminate that being. When they are thrown back to reality, Ard realizes they have gone back to ancient times because the sky still has two moons. Knowing a certain demon lord is alive at this time, he believes in making contact with him to have a chance of eliminating that being. After saving a girl from a giant monster scorpion, that girl turns out to be a subordinate of Olivia. She wants Ard to join her army. She explains that people from outer space known as the Outer Ones are attacking. Ever since, the demons they gave birth to have been fighting with humans. Because Varvatos is developing magic for humanity, they still have a chance. That's why she needs all the magic talents she can get. Ard has two requests. Irina and Ginny are to join too, and they are to be put under Verda's forces. Of course, Ard's reason for that is that under this magic scholar, his girls will have little chance of being exposed to danger. Later, now dressed in clothing fitting that time period, the trio visits Verda's research center, but her lab just exploded. This is the genius magic scholar. After fixing up her lab, she is excited to hear from Ard and others who are from the future. She will take them in, but has a condition. However, the Sylvie of this era is looking for Verda and won't let her get away. Lydia then comes in to demand that her side send in more of her subordinates. Lydia shows her crude side as she tries to sexually harass Ginny, but is stopped by Ard. The duo take it outside to fight. Both Ard and Lydia duke out with each other until dusk. With no clear winner, the two accept each other's prowess, and before Ard can leave, Lydia stops him and asks that he and the others join her on the front line. In exchange for accepting Lydia's request, he asks for an audience with Varvatos, but Lydia claims that he'll have to accomplish a significant feat to gain his trust to see him. Ard's side is at the back of the battlefield. He knows about this battle of Aurelia Plains and how it takes place, so they'll be safe here. But when the enemy general ambushes them from behind, Ard has already prepared a trap and easily crushes him, surprising Lydia and Sylvie, whose side didn't find much resistance at the front. This success allows them to have an audience with Varvatos himself. Irina and Ginny even fawned over his majesty. Alvardo ambushes them to test their skills. This does not please Varvatos because that is how promising recruits get crushed. When Irina and Ginny refer to Varvatos as the Demon Lord, Varvatos isn't fond of that nickname. They become scared. But Ard claims this is what they hear on the streets and could be a misunderstanding. Ard feels weird because this nickname should have taken root at this point. Instead, Varvatos claims there is another calling himself the Demon Lord. For the rest of the audience, there is nothing much, so Ard returns to Verda. They tell her what happened, so she deduces that this dimension's history may differ from theirs. Ard then remembered God's words and might have misinterpreted what he said. It could be that the Demon Lord and that being are referred to as having the same existence. Ginny suggests meeting Varvatos and telling him their true circumstances so he can help out better. Verda doesn't think it is possible because when the other Demon Lord mysteriously showed up 3 years ago and started conquering the lands, Varvatos tried to fight him but couldn't beat him. This means Varvatos would be more reserved about trying this again. Hence, Ard thinks they need more achievements to earn Varvatos' trust. Just in time, Lydia wants Ard to join her on the front lines because this time they will fight a very high-ranking demon known as Mavilas. Ard fears that name because he is the reason he was forced to kill Lydia after the curse he put on her. When they laid siege to his castle, it seemed somebody had already beat them to it and even decapitated Mavilas. It's that Demon Lord. He leaves a message for Ard to tell Varvatos he will be conquering all the lands he wants, and if he wants them back, he will take them by force. It's a declaration of war. Varvatos and his aides have a meeting. In 3 days, they will storm the Demon Lord's castle. As Ard ponders the different direction history in this realm has taken, he is visited by the Demon Lord, who unmasks himself as Ard. They're both born in different worlds but end up here. Unlike Ard, the Demon Lord has experienced hardships all the way and has had everything taken from him ever since he was reborn. It was also God who sent him to this era, and he agreed in order to save Lydia and atone for his sins. Although God gave him a mission to destroy this world, as he blamed himself for causing Lydia's death and became a threat to the entire world, he couldn't bear the guilt and killed himself. But then he got reincarnated as Ard, and things continued to go downhill. To end all this, he will become a hated threat to this world and let Lydia kill him. He wants Ard to join him, and it looks tempting enough for him to do so, but he hesitates. The Demon Lord will give him time to think and hear his answer on the day they fight. So when Ard returns to his member, everyone can tell by the look of his sad face that something is wrong. Lydia takes him out to town, but it looks like she is the one having fun. They both end up fighting. Then she takes him to some ruins, where the dead spirits who have grudges against her try to kill her. She explains that long ago they attacked this place and sacrificed the people because otherwise they would be sacrificing their allies. She tells him of her goal to continue fighting until demons are no longer a threat, and then she will die a miserable and pathetic death. She isn't someone who is worth bending your ideals or sacrificing to save. She hopes he won't change the way she dies. We see the force of the battle in full swing. Ard confronts the Demon Lord and says he won't save Lydia because that isn't what she wants. They both fight, and since they're both equally powerful, the Demon Lord seems to have a trick up his sleeve. Both Irina and Ginny were disappointed that they were left behind by Ard again so he could fight on the battlefield. Soon, they're approached by Latima, carrying an important message from Ard. She informs them that Ard wants them to leave the mansion immediately. Eventually, they're led through a forest by Latima, who claims that their departure is all part of Ard's plan that he devised. Latimer reveals that Ard has figured out that the Demon Lord is using a vessel to keep himself immortal, and has found a way to destroy the vessel. Closing in on their destination, they're attacked by a hidden assailant, and Latima has Ginny and Irina go ahead. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the Heavenly Kings decimate the demon army with their skills and abilities. Returning to Irina and Ginny, they find the vessel Latima was talking about. However, it was a trap laid by Latima, who was on the Demon Lord's side. On Ard's side, Demon Lord bargains with Ard, claiming that if he joins him, he'll spare the lives of his friends. Although Demon Lord won't personally harm the girls, he cannot speak on behalf of Varvatos' army when they arrive at the castle. As it so happens, both Ginny and Irina escape from their entrapment, so Latima summons some demons and monsters to her side. Just then, Lydia arrives and destroys Demon Lord's vessel. After knocking out Latima, Lydia deals with the creatures there, which infuriates Demon Lord. Now without any ace up his sleeves, Ard tries to reason with the agitated Demon Lord. However, this proves futile and the two fight. In the end, Ard wins and lands the final blow on Demon Lord, who warns him that he's committing the same sin he did that cost Lydia her life in the past. Once that was accomplished, Ard, Irina, and Ginny started glowing golden light, signaling they'd accomplished their task and would be sent back to the future. Before they disappear, Irina and Ginny inform Lydia of what the future is like, and Lydia gives the two a message to give to Ard. On the battlefield, Varvatos is notified that the Demon Lord has been dealt with, and he then conveys this to his army, announcing the army's victory. Varvatos is then joined by Lydia, who informs him that Ard and his companions have returned home and left it at that. In the white dimensional void, Ard meets with the god again, who thanks him for eliminating the anomaly. However, Ard asks who he is and hopes that he never has to see him again, and the god answers that he's his ally and claims his notion is mutual. Back in their time, they are awakened by Sylphie and Olivia, who reveal they've reached their destination. Irina then relays Lydia's message to Ard, who is pushed forward by an apparition of Lydia to follow the girls as they look around the area. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe.